My 37M ex-wife, 39F, went through my medical cabinet and told my son, 6, about my fiance's, 26F, mental illnesses. I considered posting this on a mental health sub, but as I'm really asking about how to salvage a good family dynamic from this whole mess, I figured it probably belonged here. Any help you can offer is appreciated. English is not my first language, so I will try my best to be brief and clear. My ex-wife, 39F, and I, 37M, were divorced about 3 years ago, started proceedings shortly after the birth of our second son, now 4. It was a rough divorce for both of us emotionally, but I thought we had agreed to be cordial to one another out of a sense of dedication to our sons, 4 and 6M. I started dating my fiancée a little under 2 years ago and we got engaged in early December. While my fiancée has her own apartment, she frequently stays with me and my sons since both of our offices have been closed due to COVID. My ex-wife also has a live-in boyfriend, 44M, if any of that matters. I should say now I am mad at my ex-wife tonight for many reasons. She has a history of being unreliable in terms of childcare. This weekend was supposed to be her weekend with our sons. She took them on Thursday and called me today to say I had to come pick them up early because she has a big project due and needs to focus. I was annoyed on behalf of my boys, because they should get some time with their mother, but whatever. I was happy to pick them up. When we got to my home, my 6-year-old seemed quite restless. My fiancé at this time was out running errands and he kept asking me when she was getting home. I said I didn't know, but finally got frustrated, as he was following me around and begging for a better answer, and asked him what was wrong. He burst out crying to me and said that his mommy told him to be careful because my fiancé / is a crazy person, and that my little son should tell his mommy right away if my fiancé / ever does anything that scares him. For background, my fiancé is not crazy, but she does have some mental health issues. She has severe depression and ADHD. She sees a therapist, a psychiatrist, and her GP regularly for these issues. She has been hospitalized for trying to hurt herself in the past, but never, ever for trying to hurt anyone else. But what is really important is that due to medical allergies and bad reactions to previous drugs, she takes 2 antipsychotic drugs per day instead of standard antidepressants. Because my fiancé's issues are completely under control by medical professionals, I've never mentioned this to my ex-wife. So I was in very much confusion. I called my ex-wife and asked she had actually said those things to my son. She glibly answered yes, but said she had instructed him not to tell me. I was obviously furious for a million reasons, but foremost I was confused. I asked her why she thought my fiancé was crazy. My ex-wife said when she came to get our sons on Thursday she had needed to use the facilities. I was in a Zoom meeting at the time, so she asked my fiancé if she could use the bathroom. My fiancé said yes, but asked her to use the one upstairs, as my fiancé was in the midst of cleaning the one on the ground floor. While upstairs, she had taken the liberty of opening our medical cabinet and taking pictures of my fiancé's prescription bottles. When she got home, she Googled them and figured out they were antipsychotics, and had what she called an important talk with my older son about mental health and safety. I lost my temper completely and screamed at my ex-wife, not in front of my boys. I went just outside. My fiancé has a very good relationship with my sons. At this point my fiancé is probably one of their primary caregivers, as I have primary custody of my sons and my fiancé easily takes on 50% of the childcare tasks in our house. My ex-wife knows this. How could she possibly think it was a good idea to tell my son that my fiancé is crazy and make him fear one of his primary caregivers? My ex-wife yelled back, saying I have no right to tell her what to do, in response to me asking why in the hell she was looking in my medical cabinet, and that I couldn't tell her what not to say to her own son. I finally hung up in frustration. My fiancé came home later and noticed that my 6-year-old was more withdrawn. After they went to sleep, she asked me about it and I told her he was sad he had to leave his mommy's house early because I had no heart to tell her the truth. I still have no heart to tell her the truth. My questions: I know I need to tell my fiancé about this, and the sooner the better. How can I tell her what happened? She lost a very good position in her field due to a mental breakdown almost 3 years ago and is now very sensitive about her mental health problems. I don't want her to feel even more embarrassed. Second, how can I assure my son that my fiancé is not crazy and will not hurt him? Third, what do I do about my ex-wife snooping in my home? First rule in divorce: never let an ex back into your home under no circumstances. This is a good opportunity to teach your son about mental health. Help him to equate it to physical health, and that some people don't understand it and are scared of it just because they don't understand. If you can find famous people with the same illnesses, it will help with your explanation. Michael Phelps and Justin Timberlake both have ADHD, and Chris Evans, Captain America, has anxiety and depression. Daddy takes medicine for his heart, point to chest, and you took medicine for your sore throat, point to throat, and Debbie takes medicine for her brain, point to head. Because there are some brain sickness that make people act angry if truly don't have their medicine. Some people, like your mum, who are scared of all types of mental illness, but Debbie doesn't have a scary mind of mental illness, point to head again, so he joins brain to mental illness. Debbie has the same kind of illness that Captain America has, and he's not scary at all, is he? Thank you. Comparison to Captain America is very helpful. Like all 6-year-olds, he loves the superheroes. I will be using that in future conversations. Thank you again. I am truly grateful for the many kind and wise comments people have left here. I can see why she's your ex. So first of all, speak to a lawyer ASAP. Ex could use this to change childcare arrangements or whatever. The sooner you know what her worst intention could be, the better. So call a lawyer first thing in the morning. Second, you need to tell your fiancé that your ex snooped around when she used the bathroom and made the wrong assumptions. She needs to know before your ex can try and use it against her in any way or poisons your kids against her. Maybe speak to a child psychologist. You are in a sticky situation about communicating with your kids. 1. You don't want to say anything that later on can be twisted as you poisoning your kids against their mom. 2. You don't want to let this slide and get to a point where your kids tell someone else they don't feel comfortable around your fiancé. 3. You want to make sure your kids are open and honest with you and know that you'd never put them in harm's way, and whomever you bring into their lives is safe to be around. And then you need new boundaries with your ex. She is not to come inside your home. Not for using the bathroom, not for anything else. She can sit in the car, and you can take the kids out to her. Your ex crossed many lines. What a CNT. First, you never ask a kid to keep a secret. That is so wrong. Second, she shattered your son's safe house. Third, she tried to destroy your fiancé in the core by this. Aside from the fact that she should not have snooped around, you have to tell your fiancé when your son is gone. Your ex has to correct this to your son first. Then the two of you can talk to your son. Support your fiancé wherever you can and make sure that she can get a meeting with one of her GP. I feel like my coworkers don't like me because I am white. I feel dumb even thinking this because as a white person I don't really experience oppression. I work in a retirement home. Most of my coworkers are islanders. They're all related or know each other. They're very passive aggressive towards me. They treat me like I don't know what I'm doing. One time, I was squatting down putting a pull-up on my patient and my coworker grabbed me by my shoulder and pulled me away saying, "Here, I'll do it," when I had no issue doing my job. One time, I walked into the break room and they were all there. They looked at me and started to laugh. Every time I walk into the break room they'll stare at me, straight up. Or another time, my patient pulled his pull-up off and peed his bed. My co-workers were talking down on me, telling me I should have put a pull-up on him, that I can't leave them without pants, that I need to do my job right. I told them I did put one on, but they just got quiet and looked at me and didn't say anything. There's times where I walkie for help with a patient and they won't come. Or they only speak their language through the walkie then get upset I don't understand. It goes on. How do I deal with this? It's to the point where I don't wanna work there anymore. It's been going on 3 months. Edit: I've read all comments and will clear some things up. I live in America, but but not Hawaii. I live on the West Coast though. I assume it's because of my race since I have always been nice to them, covered their shifts when they asked me to, and they get mad at me for not understanding their language. Example being they'll walkie asking for me directly, but speaking their language when I told them I don't understand their language multiple times. Then they get mad saying I need to be a team player. Other Reddit I completely forgot. When I was new and needed to be trained, one of them asked who wants to train, my name. And another one of them said not me and the rest started to laugh. You can't force them to like you. But there's times where I walkie for help with a patient and they won't come. This will lead to problems. If one of the residents falls or has an injury, they can't ignore you. This is how people wind up in the hospital and this is how lawsuits happen. Your manager needs to know about this. I think not liking someone is very different than actively putting them down or being overtly rude in a professional setting, especially if it's because they are a different race. Feeling left out is one bad thing, but ignoring the request for help is actually dangerous for everyone involved. If that happens again, note the time and circumstances and go straight to your supervisor. File a written complaint. If it doesn't improve, file another. Keep documentation. If they fire you, contact an employment attorney. Sounds like your coworkers are toxically unprofessional and unwelcoming. I'd start looking for other positions if it becomes too much. Use the words toxic workplace when talking TPHR. How do I, 24M, deal with my girlfriend, 23F, making significantly less money than me but wanting to split everything 50-50? The title pretty much sums it up. I've worked incredibly hard throughout high school and then college to make something of myself. I finally have a very well-paying job, but it is very stressful and tiring. The hours are excruciating. Because I work so much, I often like to treat myself with a nice takeout dinner, or cook something fancy myself. Cooking is my hobby, has been since I was like 12. But as you can imagine, cooking fancy meals means fancy ingredients, which again means it is pricey, or just buy myself something nice in general. I've recently moved in with my girlfriend who I love very much and am planning to spend the rest of my life with. The problem is, she makes significantly less money than me, and I mean living paycheck to paycheck, but she won't allow me to pay more than 50% for anything we get. We live in a fairly cheap place instead of moving somewhere better where I would cover more than half of the rent. If I get something nice for dinner, she hounds me for how much it costs so she can pay me back. If I tell her this is my treat and not to worry, she will stop asking, but will then find the receipt in my jacket pocket or something and transfer the money to my account, even though I know she can't afford it. I've tried talking to her about this. She keeps saying that it's okay, she wants the things I buy too, so she pays for half of it and she can afford it. But I see her finances. I know she can't afford it. How do I go about this? I feel like I'm pressuring her into spending money she shouldn't be spending. But at the same time, I always suggest that I pay more and she won't agree. So if I stop buying the things that I myself can afford just because she won't let me buy them for her as well, I feel like I'm being forced to give up something that makes me happy, and believe me, after a 14-hour workday full of stress of losing client money, that sushi is something I need to stay sane. How does one operate from here?